All right, so let's jump right in. We're going to talk about a story that's happening all across the country, right? The whole struggle and, well, the surprising rebirth of America's small towns. Today we're going to look at how a new generation is breathing life back into the places they call home.
I mean, it's a scene so many of us have seen. You drive through a small town, and the main street, it's just lined with empty storefronts. It's a huge challenge for these communities, trying to figure out how to get back on their feet, how to bring back that sense of pride.
So look at this number, 41%. That single figure, wow, it tells a huge story. This is the poverty rate in a tiny town called Morven, North Carolina. We're talking fewer than 400 people. It's a really tough number to look at, and it shows you exactly what they're facing. But, and this is the important part, it's also where our story of an amazing turnaround begins.
And that brings us to the big question, the one at the heart of all this. What if the solution isn't some big government program or a corporation coming in from the outside? What if the answer was already there, just waiting to be discovered, right under their noses?
Okay, so before we get to the solution, we really need to get a handle on the problem. Let's zoom in on Marvin, North Carolina, and see what life is really like there.
Yeah, the reality in Morven it's pretty tough. You've got a population of less than 400, that 41% poverty rate we mentioned, and the average person is making around $18,000 a year. Opportunities are just not there. And those empty buildings on Main Street, they're more than just buildings. They're a constant reminder of what the town has lost.
But then, something shifted. In the summer of 2023, this new idea started to sprout, a program called the Holla Summer Camp. And listen, this was way more than just a way to keep kids occupied for a few weeks. This was about sparking a completely different way to think. And here's the key. This wasn't your typical how to start a business class. The real goal was to build what's called an entrepreneurial mindset. What does that even mean? It means you start seeing problems as opportunities. You look at an empty storefront and you don't see failure. You see a blank canvas. So how did they do it? Well, the whole camp was designed for impact. You take 9 kids from the area, ages 11 to 17, you put them in an intensive, month-long camp, and you bring in 6 real entrepreneurs, people who've actually done it, to share their stories, the good, the bad, the ugly. It wasn't about textbooks, it was about getting your hands dirty and getting inspired to lead. And all of this was leading up to something really special. This is where it gets good. The kids went from just learning about ideas to actually rolling up their sleeves and reimagining the future of their own town. This quote from John Martin, one of the facilitators, just nails it. He said, "We wanted them to see their own potential as changemakers who could take ownership of their town's future." See, it wasn't about the business plans. Not really. It was about showing these kids, hey, you have the power. You can shape this place. So they had this exercise, and it sounds so simple, but it was incredibly powerful. They just walked through downtown Morven. The same streets they've walked down 1,000 times, but this time was different. They were looking with new eyes, spotting the empty buildings and asking, what does our community really need, and how can we fill this space to meet that need?
And you won't believe the ideas they came up with. Seriously. Okay, idea number 1, a salon. A totally practical need, right? But here's their smart twist. Make it super family-friendly so parents don't have to stress about bringing their kids along.
Then you have idea number 2, a cookie shop. Who doesn't love cookies? But again, their vision was so much bigger. It wasn't just about selling treats. It was about creating a safe, welcoming place for people who were struggling. It was a business with a heart.
All right, idea number 3. This team was thinking about the pets. They came up with a combination vet clinic and dog rescue. They saw a real need for animal care in the area and decided to tackle it head-on.
And the winning idea, wow, it was this amazing all-in-one health and community center. Think about it. A gym, a community kitchen for people to gather and eat, even a computer lab for residents and new entrepreneurs. It was a vision for a true community hub. And listen to what one of the camp facilitators said. I was blown away. They didn't just think like business owners. They thought like community leaders. And that's the whole point, isn't it? They were thinking way beyond just making money. They were designing a better future for everyone. They were already leading. So, the business plans were fantastic. But the real takeaway, the thing that's truly going to last, was something you can't put on a spreadsheet. It was about the skills and, more importantly, the mindset they walked away with.
Just look at this comparison. On one side, you have the stuff they created, business concepts, financial projections, all that. But on the other side, that's the good stuff, what they learned. leadership, problem solving, a real pride in their hometown, and the vision to see that things can be different. Those are skills for life, not just for business.
And hey, don't just take my word for it. Listen to what one of the participants said. The class offered encouragement and taught wisdom. It wasn't just facts. It was about building them up, showing them what they were capable of. It totally changed their perspective.
Okay, so what's the big deal about one summer camp in one tiny town? Well, it's because this isn't just a nice little story. It's a blueprint. It's a model that other places can actually use.
And here it is, the main idea right here. When you teach young people how to reimagine their Main Street, you're actually teaching them how to reimagine their entire future. It's that simple and that powerful.
So that's the big question, right? How can other communities, maybe even your community, take this idea and run with it? What does it actually take to make this happen?
Well, the blueprint is pretty straightforward. First, you've got to invest in this kind of education. Second, you need mentors, people who can guide these kids. And maybe most important of all, you have to give them real chances to try things out to make a real difference in the real world. Let's leave it with this. The future of Main Street, in Morven and everywhere else, isn't going to build itself. It's not going to happen by chance. It's going to be built by entrepreneurs, by people who look at a problem and see an opportunity. And honestly, if those kids in Morven are any example, I'd say the future is looking pretty bright.